I'm Billie Greer, and I'm so glad to see everybody here tonight. The Little River Republican ladies are here, and some of their husbands, and some guests from Wilmington, and some people from Clark's office. And Clark's lovely wife, Marcia, got here. She's already done one event tonight. And I said, would you like to talk? And she said, nah, I talked already. And I didn't know I was going to talk either, but I've got some notes on my hand, if that bothers anybody. Anyhow, my husband and I moved down here in '89, and we went back to Pittsburgh in '90 and did the taxes with the person we knew up there, and he said, this is insane. We have to find an accountant down here. And somebody recommended Clark Parker, and that recommendation has just served us extremely well over the years. He's always been there. After Tom retired, he had a little consulting business, and he was always wanting to play around with his expense account. And can I lease a Lincoln? And Tom, he came home one day, he said, I think a big part of Clark's job is keeping me honest. And I said, keeping you out of jail.
Allowable deductions.
Allowable deductions. He was very strict about that. And about 6 years ago, Tom and I were part of a little startup church in Myrtle Beach, and we got a lot of pro bono financial help and counsel from Clark. And even when we finally got into the church and got started, he was kind enough to give us a printer. And everybody there is enthusiastic about his candidacy and remembers how much he did for us. And Pam has come from Wilmington. I'm going to let her talk about him, but I have just one thing. A little over a year ago, my husband passed away, and I was out in Conway at the courthouse taking care of some business. And a lady in the probate office said, what is this? Why are you doing it this way? And I said, I'm doing it that way because Clark Parker told me to. And she said, you're okay then. He has more integrity than anybody I know. And I think that's all I have to say. Pam is going, she came down from Wilmington. She's going to talk about that.
I'm just going to get this over with. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not Clark. There's not a thing I can do about it. And after talking to so many of you before dinner who are so much more involved in politics than I am, I know that you know that when this ball starts rolling, it picks up steam, it picks up snow, it gets bigger, it gets bigger, it gets bigger, and a worthy candidate can only be in one place at one time. And unfortunately, there are disappointments that come about. And you all drew the card tonight because I'm here. And I'm going to tell you just a little bit more than Billie did as to why everybody should want Clark Parker to do what he's decided to do. To start with, Clark Parker. Did all of you, when you were naming your children, think about whether a name sounded right, it rolled well off of your tongue, it was easy to remember, you weren't going to forget that name, and especially with men? It was really important, I think, that men's names rolled well. Won't that name just go so easily for people to remember at the polls? Clark Parker, it just sounds right to me, and I hope it does to you too. I have known Clark not quite as long as Billie has, or maybe, I don't remember when she told me, maybe you've known him a little bit longer, but I moved to Myrtle Beach back in 1989 and met Clark shortly thereafter, and also it was a professional relationship. And then when my husband, now my husband, came down to Myrtle Beach, and he needed to have an accountant, so many people said to me, the most honest person and the best person you can get is Clark Parker. So Terry went to Clark Parker, and we've been with him, and we do live in Wilmington now. And every year when we leave from having our taxes done, Marcia, this is just going to be a little bit of true confessions. we say, because it always ends up being a day when maybe we should be doing something else and we've had to make the drive down, maybe next year we need to think about getting somebody in Wilmington. And there's never going to be a next year because we trust him totally. And that's the most important thing. When Clark told me, we went the day after Clark announced his candidacy, and he told us that he had announced the night before. And may I just tell you, the first words out of my mouth were, "Are you crazy?" And I have been told that that was not an original thought nor sentiment, that several people said that. Because all of us have this tainted view of people that decide to go into politics because of the people that are there now. And did you just get sick to death of the word change in the last couple of years? I am sick to death of it. There's got to be another word for us to use. An alternative could be that right word. Because change means just, you gotta get in there, roll up your sleeves, and just nothing's good to keep. You gotta make the changes. And it has been so misused. And Clark knows that. And Clark isn't going to use that word change. Clark doesn't want to change things, in my opinion. He hasn't told me what to say. And I have said to Dale, it was a leap of faith for him to ask me to come and speak because he doesn't know what I'm going to say. But I think that because he is so conservative and he is so honest and he is straight as an arrow in everything I've ever heard him discuss, that what he wants to do is find a different way to make the right things happen again. And he is so wise because he knows that it means small steps. He's not going to promise you that he's going to fix it tomorrow. He's not going to promise you that there are changes on the horizon because he knows it's going to take a long time. What we need is, how many did you tell me, Sandra? 435 Clark Parkers. I said I would settle for 415 that have the integrity and the knowledge, the good faith, and the good deeds. And guess what else he has? He has a record of working for 30 years, building a business, making a success of himself, keeping a wife and 3 children well and happy and under the umbrella of his church. You can trust 420 Clark Parkers. And that's what we need.